It's been quite some time since I've been confused by a game to this extent. Here we have Exhibit A, X-Men, or the Uncanny X-Men as it says on the box. It was released to the NES in 1989 by LJN. If you enjoy video game content online, you've likely seen the AVGN review on it. To be quite honest, I saw the gameplay footage and thought, this can't be that bad, right? Though it doesn't look very good, there are worse looking games on the NES and Famicom that are halfway decent, so is it that bad? Let's jump in. X-Men is an action game where you play as one of 6 playable heroes. You got Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, or Iceman. 3 of them have melee attacks, while the other 3 have ranged attacks. Remember that for later. The goal is to get to the end of the level, beat the boss, and collect the computer disc they drop to move on to the next level. The game has 5 stages and a hidden 6th that see you battle X-Men villains such as Juggernaut, Sabretooth, and Magneto. On the subject of levels, here's the closest representation of a rectal exam done through your eyeballs. Everything's a mess. The levels at least have themes so you know where you're at, like a street, and, okay, that's not quite the case. Then you have enemies who are castles? Bubbles? Poor Cyclops is running for his life. He looks terrified.
The dirty bubble!
Frankly, these levels look more like the Island of Misfit Toys, and less like a place the X-Men should be. Unless the Misfit Toys were possessed or covered in the same mutagen as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and become violent. I guess that couldn't happen since it's a different franchise, but you know what I'm saying. No one knows what they are. It's all nonsensical. Collecting power-ups is a necessity. The ones to remember are the energy cells that fill your health, even though you cannot see the damage you've taken. The hot dog looking thing, that's the invincibility power-up. It'll help get you through booby traps and gates that try to kill you. And the magnets. Stay away from the magnets. They'll freeze you and make you susceptible to enemy damage. Avoid at all costs. I remember with Atari games, it was oftentimes imperative to have the manual on your person for reference. It was often required due to the limitations of the Atari games and hardware. Here, this is an 8-bit game rather than like a 1 or 2-bit. You should be able to tell what things are and where you're supposed to be going due to the much superior hardware. If you play The Legend of Zelda, for example, a guide might aid you in your quest, though it wouldn't be needed because exploration is its own reward. This works because you can clearly tell what enemies and items are. Here, it's a garbled mess. I imagine I'd have a better chance of gargling alphabet soup, spitting it onto the floor, and finding at least one word in the English dictionary, compared to getting far in this game without accidental death. Now let's talk about the combat. It's either not good or awful, depending on the hero you choose. Wolverine, Colossus, and Nightcrawler have melee attacks, and are of no threat to the enemies on screen, who endlessly spawn, by the way. You need to choose a hero with ranged attacks, like Cyclops, Storm, or Iceman. If that wasn't strange enough, regardless of whether or not you have a human player to assist you, the game makes you play with a computer partner otherwise. They are clumsy oafs. When any hero dies, the character is no longer playable until you get game over. If you choose a melee character for yourself, it's a waste. You're just gonna die. Likewise, if you give the CPU a ranged character, you get the idea. If your CPU buddy doesn't die of natural causes, your best bet is to find a place in the level where you can stand and watch them die. Otherwise, they'll push you into things and find a way to clumsily kill you. Some heroes, huh? The levels are convoluted, cryptic mazes. The combat would be best described by taking two action figures and bashing them into one another. And the music is forgettable at best. No, scratch that. It's absolutely annoying because it plays on loop. X-Men could have been so much more on NES. It could have been a better gaming experience, like maybe Zelda, or a side-scrolling shooter, like Contra or Bionic Commando. What we got instead is likely what made children cry on their birthdays back in the 80s. I can't even imagine. For shame. No one actually knows who developed the game. It was made in secrecy and in complete anonymity. LJN took the heat. I'd like to think this was a government psyop, a secret experiment into testing how far Uncanny X-Men can warp the human mind before it cracks. Or, what likely happened was the team wanted to keep making games and knew this one would likely tarnish their reputation. I don't know, if you work for LJN, that's already failure number one, you know what I mean? I don't recommend seeking this one out unless you have some kind of morbid, unsatiable curiosity. Even then, you don't need the Uncanny X-Men for NES. You need Jesus.